Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spark. I love doing these segments because we get an opportunity to dig into real problems, issues, challenges that all of us are facing on our road to success. So I hope today's topic is going to resonate with many of you out there as you're kind of shaping your business, as you're thinking about what's your next big step. And I guess as you're thinking about making improvements, driving growth in your business, today I want to talk to you about tech. I want to talk a lot about the role of tech and specifically in how tech can help you get time back. What happens often when we have our businesses is we feel like we're always running out of time. We're chasing projects, deadlines, we're trying to get so much done in a day that we feel like we don't have a grasp on, kind of reducing the workload, reducing everything that has to be done. And what I've found over the years, and what I guess I want to share with you today, is one of the biggest ways that I've been able to get more done in a week. One of the ways I've been able to do things like not work till midnight. One of the ways I've started to be able to take off time on the weekends and spend time with my family, which is super important to me, has been to use tech to reduce some of the tasks that I was doing. And a lot of times, what would happen to me, and you guys can tell me if this happens to you as well, is some things are things that I've always done in my business, things that I can either naturally do or I kind of feel like, oh, they're not a big deal and I can get them done. But what I was realizing is I was getting stuck on the tasks that I could do quickly or the things that I've always done. And I didn't take the kind of opportunity to take a step back and say, should I really be working on these? Should I really be focused on these tasks? Because the question kind of comes to mind that when I'm trying to drive growth, I have to work on projects that are growth projects, not just maintenance projects. So, what that made me do when I kind of start asking myself a few questions about my priorities and why I'm working on what I'm working on, I started to realize that sometimes where I was spending my time were on the things that were really just almost holding it together. It was just holding my business and my process together. So, what I had to do is start looking at my tasks. I had to start understanding where I spend my time daily and where I spend my time weekly. So, for any of you out there, if you're trying to figure out how to get more time back in your schedule, I'd love to know if you're here. If you're watching us live, let me know. I love to be able to interact with you and answer your questions while you're here. Even if you're not watching this live, no worries. I can always respond to your comments later, but we love to know what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and also love to know how this kind of topic can help you. So as we're talking about claiming back that time, I want to talk about these daily and weekly tasks because the key when you think about what you're doing daily and weekly, what's truly taking your time, you can start to maybe look at the world a little bit differently. So, one thing I had to do, and one thing I recommend for everyone out there, is to pull out a sheet of paper. Even if you're listening to me right now while you're watching this, pull out a sheet of paper and write down the task that you find yourself doing daily. Look at the tasks that you find that you're doing weekly. Now, the reason I want you to do this is because we all become a little bit natural. Like I was saying earlier, these are just things that sometimes I'm just getting done. And sometimes I'm getting them done in, I think, record speed. But what happens is because they're just a part of my day, a part of my process, I don't really see them as problems to solve. I don't always see them as the tech needs to go this direction because they're just things I do in the day. However, when I took a step back in my business, when I started to reevaluate what I did, when I started to make a list of what are my daily and weekly tasks, I was blown away by the idea that there was improvements to be made in there. And let me give you an example of one that sounds like a silly task, but was a task that took time. So I'm a coach. I spend a lot of time meeting with people, setting up calendars, booking time, scheduling, rescheduling, and so forth. Now, I've always had, or for a while, I've had a scheduling app in place. And my scheduling app has helped me with scheduling my meetings. So if someone wanted to meet with me, instead of me going back and forth on meeting with them, what I would do is I'd send them a link. I use this tool called Calendly. They'd be able to click the link and book a session with me. However, once they booked a session, I used to have to go into Zoom, click a couple of buttons, grab a link from Zoom, get that link, email it out to them, or update the meeting request or update Calendly. And what was happening is I had all this manual work within an automated process. And that's one thing I want you to kind of think about when you're writing down these daily and weekly tasks is sometimes we've automated a piece of the process, but not enough of the process to cut down on rework or time waste. So what I had to do is I had to start looking at ways to get things integrated, ways so that when someone booked a meeting with me, I didn't have to go to a third-party tool to set things up. Now, some of that came with me setting up an integration in Calendly with Zoom so that Zoom would automatically schedule those meetings. But it also meant that I had to set up an integration between Google and Zoom so that anytime I'm setting up a meeting in Google Calendar, automatically my Zoom link for that meeting would come in. I didn't have to take the time to open up another browser, to click on a couple of things, to get those set up, to get those links, to copy and paste everything and put it over there. Now, while it didn't take me hours to do this might have been a 5 or 10-minute exercise, but if I thought about it and I looked at my week, what I was realizing is I was spending 5 and 10 minutes 3 to 4 times a day to set up a meeting. So when you think about getting time back in your schedule, if you could get an extra 40 minutes back, if you could get an extra hour back by simply integrating 2 tools together, I think you would be excited about that. I think you would cheer and be kind of surprised that you can get time back that way. Now, we're only talking an hour in a sense, and maybe it's an hour within my day, or maybe it's an hour a couple of days a week. But the idea is that when I started to look at my daily and weekly tasks, and I didn't stop at just my calendar, what I was able to do is start to get 30 minutes from another task, 40 minutes from another task, an hour from another task. And then I was able to get back in control of my day. And that's what I'm wishing for you. I want you to start to get those 20, 30 minutes, so little things back in your day that feel like it's small, as they say, small potatoes. But what I find in our businesses is they really do add up over time. And if you spent the time looking at your daily and weekly tasks and seeing if an automation or integration would work for you, you may get time back. All right. Now, let's talk about another way that I started to get time back. One thing that I'm really fond of is I love getting notifications. I love getting notifications when I do emails, when I have a meeting coming up. I love getting notifications to let me know, order has been confirmed. I love to be able to get emails when I'm finding out that a student has registered for one of my courses. I love getting an email when someone has booked a session with me. But what was happening with all these emails and notifications, I had all this noise happening in my day. Now, personally, I prefer notifications to email. And let me tell you why. I like notifications because often I just need a reminder. I don't need the step of going into my email and hitting delete, 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 delete. So if I had 5 meetings in the day, and I was getting an email confirmation or email reminder from Google, those are 5 emails I have to go into my email list and delete. That's another waste of time. So what I've decided to do is I started to reorganize the way I set up my email. What I've done is anything that gives me order confirmations, anything that gives me kind of a quick response of something that is happening on my site, instead of that coming into my email box, my kind of email that I use every day when I'm chit-chatting with people, I set up a separate email account. And those email accounts have all the confirmations, have all the emails that I need to get to eventually, all the things that I buy on a monthly basis, when they send me a receipt, all of that stuff goes to a separate email account. Now, the reason I've set that up in a separate email account is that's not information I really need in the middle of the day. I don't need a confirmation that I just paid for my Facebook ads, as an example. I do need to file that information away at some point, but I don't need that at 11 o'clock in the middle of my day. And those emails coming in are kind of junking up my email. It makes it harder for me to find what's a priority. It makes it harder for me to find customer emails. So by segregating my email and putting notifications in a specific email account, and then when I sign up for something like a new account, a new profile, when I get confirmations and my students are signing up and so forth, I send all of those to that email account. It has made my email much more streamlined, much more, I guess, simpler for me to see personal emails. The other thing I've done is anything that is a general notification, if I can handle it as a notification on my phone or my computer, then I eliminate the need for an email. Because what I don't want to do is go through my email and just have to delete all of these little notifications, all of these reminders to tell me to do things. Because those reminders I find aren't really helpful. The reason I keep a to-do list is that reminds me what I need to do in the day. And what I never want to do is spend more time doing cleanup in my business as opposed to working with customers. So what I want you to do is start to think about these practical items. Start to look at your inbox. And is your inbox getting flooded with a whole bunch of different types of emails? Are you getting emails that you're just finding you're going through and deleting? You're not even reading those emails. If that's the case, it's time to unsubscribe. If that's the case, maybe you need a partnership or a pseudo email account that those emails can go into so that they're not a distraction during the day and you're not required to go in and just delete to clean things up. All right. The other thing that I like to do when I'm trying to get time back is I like to automate tasks. Now, for many of you out there, when I talk about automation, for some, it feels like, oh goodness, Stephanie, you're going to take the personal touch out of your marketing. And the reality is, I want you to automate so you can be more personalized in your approach. What I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about things that you do all the time, things that happen repeatedly in your business. Often these are things that you either do on a monthly basis or you do in response to something happening in your business. So let's take an example. Maybe you host workshops. You do workshops as far as training. Maybe you do webinars as far as trainings. Any of those things where a person registers for something, maybe you're doing courses as well. Anytime someone registers, signs up, the emails that go out to those individuals to confirm that they signed up and any notifications to help them show up for the webinar, help them redeem their product or service, help them know the timeline or send them reminders, all of that should be automated. All of that should be set up in your email marketing system so that people get emails. Now, for most people, the confirmation email they do pretty good on. Most people will make sure that if somebody buys something, a confirmation email will go out. And for most of you, your system might already do that just as a standard process. But where I think a lot of people forget, or where a lot of people are going manual in a sense and doing a lot of rework, is that after that confirmation starts, if let's say, for example, someone signs up for a consulting package of yours, they get 4 consults in that package. Instead of you sending them a personal email, instead of you sending an email and saying, hey, when would you like to schedule? Hey, how would you like to meet? Hey, I'm really excited that you've signed up. What I'd rather you do is create a standard email that's sent to them within 24 hours or within 2 hours of them signing up that includes a link to your online scheduler so someone can book an appointment with you immediately. And that way they get instant gratification because they get the information and the notes on why and what they should do next, as well as it ensures that if you're busy, if you're traveling, if something's going on in the house, you don't miss that window of time where someone signs up and they're looking for the answers on their next steps. What I find for many of us as business owners is that we tend to do those next steps as manual steps. And what I want you to do is I want you to automate that, because the more you can automate it, the easier it is for you to send personalized emails, not about tactical things, not about things that just have to get done in your business, not about services and sending people reminders that the workshop is on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Instead, you can send more personalized emails to check in with your customers. You can send more personalized emails to let people know about new articles, new trends. You can send personalized emails to talk about maybe something that you remember or noticed about one of your clients or your students in social media. That's where I want you to spend your time. So if we can put a more automated process in place around these manual processes that you're doing, I can help you reduce the rework. I can help you get time back. And that's going to be the key. When you want to propel your business forward, when you want to figure out how to do more, we have to sit down and look at these tasks, look at these things that you're consistently doing to fulfill and support your customers, and try to automate it. Try to make it so it's easier for people to book meetings with you whenever they want by using scheduling tools. Easy for someone to get information about your classes, your programs, your training. Let's say, for example, you do a cooking class. If you're doing a cooking class, you know when the cooking class is going to be. It's going to be on Saturday. So the day after the cooking class, you know you want to send maybe an email, a follow-up email. Instead of waiting for after the class to write that email, instead of every time you have a cooking class writing that email fresh, that email can be an automated email that is designed and set up as a template that can be sent out and scheduled before you even have that cooking class. The key here is you know what the menu is going to be, you know what the product's going to be, you know what you're going to cover. If you're going to give them copies of the recipe, prepare all of that in advance and have it scheduled. And once you create that template the first time, every time you have a class, all you have to do is substitute the recipes. All you have to do is substitute the attachment. All you have to do is substitute the title of the class in that email. And now you have a template that can be replicated. Now you have a template that can be set up as an automated process. Now you can actually take something that you were manually doing after you had a long, hard day doing a class and trying to get those emails out. Instead, all of that can be set up in advance, and all of that can be created for your students and set up as an automated process. And that's what I want you to think about. That's how I want you to think about tech as you move forward. That's how I want you to think about the concept of getting your time back. And the key here is I want to make sure that you're thinking about the things that you do manually and you turn those into automated tasks. All right. Now, I don't want to give you too much today. I don't want to give you too much on your plate because I know tech for some of us is a lot. Some people may be like, well, how do I automate it? How do I set those up? Now, the key there is when we talk about automation, most of your email marketing systems will do it for you. So whether it's MailerLite or MailChimp or Constant Contact, all of them have what they call automated messaging systems. And any of that automation is driven by triggers. So there's a way to set all that up. And I even have an online course that I can walk you through how to set those things up. So that's the tactical side. The key thing that I want you to take away today is figuring out what you need, figuring out what those processes are, sitting down like we were talking about a little bit earlier. What are some of those daily tasks, those weekly tasks that you need to work on, and starting to organize where you can get the benefit of tech, where you could potentially take the manual out of the process and cut down on the rework is really the key next step. So I want to challenge you today to start working on that. I want to challenge you today to start making your list. And I want to ask you today to share some of those items with me in the comments, because the more I know about what you're working on, maybe I can give you a recommendation. Maybe I can tell you about something that I've worked on. Maybe we can share together the fixes, the patches, the redesigning of the tech that we're all doing in our business and how we can ultimately help each other. So I look forward to hearing about a process that you're going to be working on as far as turning it into automation. I'd love to hear where you think you could squeeze out of your daily and weekly tasks some automation. And I look forward to continuing this conversation in the comments. If you're listening to this as a podcast, if you're watching this and you're not able to comment directly, you can always jump over to our social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube, where you can post your comments there. As well as, we always love to know what you think of these sessions. I love to kind of come in and give you some ideas, give you some recommendations, and also, like in this scenario, kind of get you started to think about tech differently and think about how to claim back some of that time. So I always love to know if you enjoyed these segments, if you enjoy this kind of inspirational ideas. Always, we appreciate the thumbs up, the likes, and letting us know that this maybe got you started on that process, as well as I look forward to hearing from everyone in the comments on what may be your next way to automate and potentially reduce your rework. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.